Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. I am your host, Ryno Clavin, and in this week's episode, we are going to be doing our wish list for things we'd like to see show up at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party in the future. This is just a blue in the sky, just some cool ideas that we had, and to help me have some of these cool ideas, I should have said have this discussion. It's fine. It's whatever. I've got Deni Sunderly.
Hi there.
Yeah, it's just us. I feel like it'll be a nice little conversation here on the Halloween season. I've already started the show off with a great finesse in words, as I often do. So, it is a bummer. The Halloween party has been canceled for this year, 2020, unfortunately, but understandably so. And it would have actually already kicked off by now, too, which is crazy because it's still August. But I, for one, like Halloween to start like right after Christmas in July. Next day, boom, Halloween. That's for me. This is my time of year, favorite time of season, and so the earlier the better. I'm always saying. So I said to Deni, it'd be fun if we had some sort of way we could talk about Mickey's Not So Scary. And then I was thinking, well, what if it comes back next year, and what is it going to look like next year? And so that just led us down this rabbit hole of sort of things that we'd like to see. Deni, why don't I let you jump off first and start with one of yours?
All righty. So I'm going to start with the one that came to mind very first. And to me, I think it would be something that would appeal to a lot of the party guests who have paid, for this special hard ticket event. It is the introduction of virtual queues for character meet and greets. So we see in Disney's Hollywood Studios how effectively the virtual queue is or, is not utilized for the Rise of the Resistance attraction. It's hard to get that boarding group assignment when you're in there. But these are blue sky ideas, and we can always dream. And so our Halloween party virtual queue for character meet and greets would work perfectly. Okay. Mm-hmm. And there would be no angst, but you would also not have to stand in line for that character that you absolutely want to meet before midnight that night. You wouldn't have to stand there for 3 hours of a 5-hour party, and you've already paid so much to be at this party anyhow. To stand there in line for Moana or for Jack and Sally for the large majority of the party, I imagine would be incredibly frustrating. So this, you would, as soon as you're in, you've used your party ticket, you're in the park, you would open up My Disney Experience, you would click that you'd like to join a greeting group, and they would give you a group number, everyone, because this is a utopian world, right? So everyone would get that greeting group assignment, and you could go on about your business, and you could join several if you want to, because you have more than one maybe headliner character that you want to meet. Maybe you can, join 2 greeting groups for the evening, or that you're guaranteed to do that. But then you would come back along with everyone else in your group to wait a much shorter amount of time when it's your group's time.
And like you said, we kind of have technology like that is already being utilized. We had the Rise of the Resistance queue, but also I keep thinking about Max Pass at Disneyland, how that sort of that way of adding like just everybody that your tickets are linked with just into whatever attraction. And then once you've done that attraction, once your time has passed, you just make another, So I was thinking it could either be 2, like you said, or it's just you do one and then you have to wait. Yep. And then you get the next one, and then because it's still freeing you up either way. But they have some really great limited character experiences. So, characters that are out, that was one of the big selling points of these party, all these kind of characters that you never really see out. I know, or not always together, like all 7 dwarfs have been at one of the parties. It was Christmas or Halloween, I can't remember. But like you said, Jack and Sally, that's always a really big one too. And someday I would love my photo with Jack and Sally, but their line has always been like 2 hours long. And
yes.
I can't do that, because we're working. But I think on that note as well, I would love to see the continuation of reduced crowds. I think that we've seen, that is obviously a forced thing upon us right now, but I think we've really kind of seen how the experience at the Disney park changes when there's so much less people there. And that, again, was a big selling point of these parties back in the beginning. I remember the first Halloween party that I went to in like 2007. I couldn't believe how, how easy it was to kind of do everything. And I'm talking like I met characters. I saw the show, I saw the fireworks, got on a couple attractions, but we also had fun and got to go around and take like photos and stuff like that. So I think like in order to like fully experience the party, they really are going to have to cut down on how many people. I'm not saying like make it empty or anything like that, because part of the experience of Halloween is being with other people that are really into Halloween, right? So you want to be there with people. You want to be there with, other costumes. I love seeing all the kind of creative ways that people do costumes when they come to the party. And that's part of that experience as well. So there's like some sort of, they got to meet halfway. I feel like they got a little greedy with the amount of people they would let into these parties over the years. I'd rather just see them do the party more frequently with a less attendance, if that's the case. If they're worried about, well, there's so many people, the demand for it is so high, but well, then give it another night. Give it like a third or a fourth night of the week. I don't care. And that's, people can go to the other parks if they don't want to go to the Halloween party. That's all I'm saying. Try to be nice about it.
Right. I mean, if you've been to the Disney After Hours event, that's also a hard ticketed event. You know how much fun it is to be able to breeze on and off attractions without too much of a care. Like, you don't have to really schedule things out too much. And you're right that with the crowds, the high level of crowds that we've seen in the past several years with Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, you have to really schedule things out. And we've talked about that before, but I think hopefully, I mean, if any of our blue sky ideas were implemented, it would be something that would help kind of free families and just guests to be able to enjoy spur of the moment, spontaneous fun at these parties.
You shouldn't go to a party and have to, like, if you want a snack, it'd be like, all right, well, this is now 45 minutes out of the way just for a snack, which actually leads into another one that you were suggesting as well.
I was going to say, speaking of snacks, Ryno.
What a segue.
For sure. So the snacks are near and dear to my heart. And so at any party, whenever seasonal snacks roll out, I want the big list of snacks. I want to, that's one of the fun things we get to report on for the Diz, is to go, okay, guys, here are our snacks. This is what we have to look forward to. And there'll be seasonal snacks that are available during the day at the Magic Kingdom. And then there are party exclusive snacks that you can only get at the Halloween party. And I'll roll into a party with a list. And on the top of my list last year was Constance's For Better or For Worse wedding cake. Yeah. And it was just lovely. We ate it. If you don't remember us eating it, it was Kylie, Ryno, and I eating it. And it was interesting, but it wasn't too bad. But the line to get Constance's For Better or For Worse wedding cake was kind of long. And when you've got 5 hours at a party, it's like a finite amount of time, and you take a chunk of those 5 hours, you just start partitioning off all the time for waiting for all these special snacks and character meet and greets and stuff like that. And suddenly, are you getting to do all the things that you want to do at that party? And so I would love to have extra locations for these special snacks so the lines don't get too long.
We tried for our first party exclusive food item already, and the line is insane. It was at Pecos Bill. We were trying to get the Hades nachos. I don't know.
We talk about how sometimes you have to pick and choose and make your priorities, which is true, but it shouldn't be a thing where you're saying, okay, well, I want to go and I want to experience all the snacks, and then you don't get to do anything else. It shouldn't be like that. It should be like, okay, well, I didn't get to do a couple of things. It shouldn't just be like, oh, well, you chose your one lane. You chose your one lane. You chose your one lane. It should still be able to be a little more free flowing, and they don't make the snacks right there. So that's why it's, right. I definitely agree with you. It'd be very simple to be like, okay, well, these 3 snacks are available over here or over here, put them on opposite sides of the park or something. So it pulls people, to different areas and stuff. And
yep.
I mean, it makes sense to me. Then when you wait in line for a Lotso a burger that's terrible, you
Oh,
you don't feel as bad about the waste of time you put in,
yeah,
you know?
that wasn't good.
No, it was not. Hopping back to what you were saying about characters and the virtual queues, I was saying I'd also really enjoy if they could kind of keep continuing what they've been doing throughout all the Disney parks right now with characters being like up and away from you, these socially distanced meet and greets, because it kind of you get to see a character in an element that you don't normally see it. Like it's just like it's living. And it is, I love how in Frontierland they had like Country Bear, some of the Country Bears were up above, and they'll like be waving down at guests and stuff. And, at Epcot, they've had like Winnie the Pooh and Joy out on the lawns and stuff like that. And I think that's great. And I think there are some great areas and opportunities for that in the Magic Kingdom, that we could see some of those more rare characters out and about, and you can still get your photo with them because you kind of just like turn around and do a selfie, like right, and they're right behind you there. Yep. I like that.
Absolutely. And it is, good grief, those Country Bears being up on the patio on the balcony, it's just so charming just to look up there. Yeah. And they're not talking to you, but goodness, you can talk to them and you can wave and they're interacting. And like you said, with Joy and Pooh Bear and what's going on over in Epcot, it's just so much fun. And it adds to the spontaneity of the evening. Yeah. Like when we were traveling through the Magic Kingdom, I didn't realize the Country Bears were going to be up on that balcony. And I didn't know Stitch was going to be on the Rocket Tower stage. And he was for socially distant selfies. And, so maybe it's, if you're out there, maybe it doesn't sound like fun. It actually... It is a little, it just adds levity to the moment. Even if, posing with Stitch isn't your thing, goodness gracious. It's neat that they thought of putting him out there. And for a kid, if you've got a kid in your group or a grown up whose absolute favorite is Stitch, you have an opportunity to be able to meet him.
Well, you bring up a really good point too. If it's not your favorite, then you can have that. It's not going to take it. You can still get a fun photo and be like, oh, that was fun, and with a lot less of a commitment attached to it. And I think it adds this kind of, like you said, it's this like levity, and it also makes it feel like they live there. So it brings more of the park alive. I feel like a lot more of those kind of areas that you're not even really looking at, or you're just maybe kind of walking by it. It gives them a new energy. And it adds to the atmosphere. And on that note, with the atmosphere, and we've said this on shows before, is that one of my biggest kind of complaints over the years, and it seems to be getting better, is that whenever you go to like one of the parties, it feels like it's just Main Street. It's like Main Street has awesome lighting, they have the Halloween decorations, or if it's Christmas time, it's the Christmas stuff. And it doesn't usually flow out into the other part of the parks, and I would love to see more at like Frontierland. I'd love to see like Halloween decorations carry on down the street there. I understand maybe it can't be everywhere, but I always think like, wouldn't it be cool if they had designed some sort of like, okay, well, this is Tomorrowland, so what do the decorations look like in Tomorrowland? Or maybe they're like those retro 50s decorations and they put them all there and it kind of fits that what the future looked like back then to people. And I'd love that. A few more smoke machines maybe too would be cool. Oh, I have them strategically placed around my house just for an entrance here and there. So, as one does, but
of course.
Yeah.
I agree with you. Just the saturation of theming that you see on Main Street and around the hub, it'd be neat to see that level of decorations happening throughout the park. Obviously, the Haunted Mansion is perfect. So they've got the smoke machines, the fog machines, the dry ice going like crazy, and the lights playing off of the fog is wonderful. And Carlotta herself, I mean, we could just have a Carlotta party, and I'm assured they would sell tickets, and we'd all be there hanging on every word.
My dress was bought for me by my daddy.
It's beautiful.
He spent a lot of money on it in Charleston. I saw the receipt. Do you want to know how much it cost? $27. I know. I'm worth every penny.
It would be great to see a little bit more than what we have now. I like what you said about Tomorrowland. Like, what would Tomorrowland Halloween decorations look like? That'd be cool to find out. So yeah, I agree with you.
I think it brings, as we always say, Disney's telling a story everywhere. I think it kind of brings that story out into the other areas of the park, and it would be kind of fun to be like, oh, well, you think about the meet and greet with the Pooh characters, all in their costumes, and you're like, well, that's what it looks like, and they meet outside of the attraction. So, the 100-Acre Wood is celebrating, Halloween. This is what it looks like for them. Well, what does it look like in these other spots over here? So it's kind of like, how would that character decorate for that holiday? It kind of adds that extra layer that I enjoy there. But, and speaking about characters, again, I should have said this before, but my notes are up and down on my page here. I was thinking a lot about how much I loved the Disneyland Halloween party, the Oogie Boogie Bash. And one of the things I really enjoyed there is they kind of had these socially distanced, I would call them already, kind of meet and greet, because they had trick-or-treat trails. So you would go through the line where you would, get candy at a couple different spots within the line or the queue, whatever you want to call it. And as you went through, you'd see like, oh, the Mad Hatter is up there. So you'd be in the Mad Hatter's queue. You'd be in the Evil Queen's queue. My favorite was the Oogie Boogie. They put him inside of their animation academy area. I just think like, you can, again, do the turnaround quick selfie photo, but wouldn't it be amazing if that's how some of these characters that maybe they're a little too worried about being too popular, like the Sanderson sisters? What if the Sanderson sisters had an area, Oogie Boogie had his area, and some of the other main characters from the castle show that they do? Because that's one of the things. We all love the Sanderson sisters. I love that show. But it is one of those things where you're just like, I want more of them, and they're so sassy and funny that I would love to see them kind of just riffing as people are going through the line, because I thought that atmosphere was fantastic at California Adventure. That I feel like we'd probably have to be creative about where we put it in Walt Disney World, but there are some areas where it could be done. I think in back in New Fantasyland, in like maybe the Casey Jr. area, or there's plenty of space, I think, in Tomorrowland that they could do it over there. And, a couple of spaces, maybe a couple of attractions are closed and it's part of that experience. But I'd like to see something like that come around here.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Just watching what you guys filmed from the Oogie Boogie Bash you could tell this was like next level stuff. So just having the treat trails themed and that character there, interacting with the audience, like, what?
Yeah.
That's amazing. And you could absolutely do that. And you could probably, I don't want to reduce the number of treat trails, but I think you could almost get away with it a little bit, because how many treat trails were going on at Oogie Boogie Bash?
I feel like there was maybe 5.
Okay.
I could be wrong, because it was like Oogie Boogie had his own, the Mad Hatter has his own. I know there was Maleficent was out, Snow Queen was out, or Evil Queen, whatever you want to call her, and Dr. Facilier had one too. Of
course.
And then there was, I don't know if, I can't remember specifically if those were the only areas you could get candy, but when you went through, you could just keep going through. So it was like, it wasn't just like the one person handing out candy. There was like 4 or 5 stops along the way, where you could just grab candy and stuff. So
yeah, see, because my goal is to get as much candy as I possibly can at those parties.
Pillowcases.
Yes, I don't want to necessarily reduce the number of treat trails if that means that I will reduce the amount that I actually walk out with at the end of the evening. But little fun things like that, like we saw it with the introduction of the Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor treat trail last year. And that was just such a neat thing. You could sit down and interact with the monsters as they are, doing fun Halloween themed games and jokes with the audience, or you can just walk on through, get your little piece of air conditioning, a little time in the air conditioning, and then keep on going.
I love candy, as you can tell. Candy horns. Anybody have any candy horns that they can spare? Anyone? No? Okay, great. All right.
I think those character interactions, those are so special and so important. And I think especially, during the Halloween party, you want to have those moments.
Yeah. It's funny how much more interactive a Halloween party becomes than like a regular day. It's like it's that real essence of people saying, well, cast members make, the trip a lot of the time. And that, I feel like that is very prevalent at a party, that you kind of craving that. It creates this fun atmosphere where you let your hair down. And you just, you relax a little. It's a different atmosphere, so. Yep. But speaking of the treats, you had a recommendation too, something that you wish you'd see too.
Yeah, I would love to see more allergy-free / vegan party exclusive treats. So we know, like we said earlier, there are some baked goods and special things, cake pops and cupcakes and milkshakes and things that you can only buy during the party hours. So I would love to see more of those things offered for those who need to be nut free or gluten free or whatever free, or who are vegan. Like, I feel like it would just be great if the overall snacks, we could have different options, or if more of the mainstream snacks would be more accessible to more people. I think that would spread the fun out a little bit. Yeah. And especially when we look at something like Erin McKenna's Bakery NYC that we have at Disney Springs. I was in there twice recently, and had enjoyed one of their salted caramel brownies. Mm-hmm. Which was recommended to me by another guest who was ahead of me in line. And I was so glad that it was recommended to me. Like, it was amazing. And everything in that bakery is allergy free and is vegan. And so if they can do it and do it really well, those are yummy treats that somebody who doesn't have to worry about allergies so much and isn't vegan would enjoy. Like, I just like to see more of the party. I mean, still make us pay for them. That's fine. But I'd love to see more of those party exclusive treats available to everyone.
Well, and and we've seen that they can do a lot of those really well, because you and I specifically, I know during the holidays, we went and did like the gingerbread ones, and we really enjoyed the plant-based gingerbread loaf, right? That was what it was?
At the Contemporary.
Yeah, and that was really good. So I feel like Disney's really good about being really creative with vegan snacks. And so that's why I enjoy not even being vegan. I like them because it adds a lot of twists into the normal food and normal snacks that you're used to. So it makes it like a little fun adventure to find it. And I also love when you're just like, it was vegan. I didn't even know,
it was good.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a segue. I was using the word twist. That's what it was. There's a Halloween, Deni told me this is what they were called. I called them attraction overlays, but they were attractions with a Halloween twist, right?
Yes. According to last year's map, it says Halloween twist, Space Mountain, Monsters, Inc., Laugh Floor, Mad Tea Party, and Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. And I enjoyed what they did with those attractions.
I did too. Yeah. Very much so. I mean, Space Mountain, maybe not that as much, because it was pitch black with rock music.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh. But everything else I enjoyed.
Yeah, and I like that, we said it earlier in the episode, that it brings Halloween outside of Main Street into those areas. So that's a nice beginning for this sort of stuff. But I think there's some really cool opportunities for some stuff that might not even take that much effort. Like one thing I had said, wouldn't it be really awesome if the Liberty Bell was doing kind of ghost tours around the rivers of America? And that could be just like American folklore stories or something. It doesn't have to be anything like, super scary or whatever, but if they had some sort of, like the voiceover that plays while you're going through overhead, like if they were just telling kind of maybe the history of Halloween in America or something, or, or maybe it's the story of Ichabod Crane, because, as the Liberty Bell finishes, it pulls up to the Haunted Mansion, which already has all the extra fog and the lightning because Carlita is out on the lawn there. And did I just say her name wrong?
Carlotta.
Carlotta. Okay, I was like,
You're
Carlita
fine.
doesn't sound correct.
Carlita.
Carlita. No, but as it pulls up, I think it would be really kind of cool, and it would just add this nice. I love the idea of being at a Halloween party and being able to be on that old like Liberty Bell boat and sort of stuff, and especially if they're doing stuff in Frontierland. So you've got a nice little loop that they have an opportunity. I feel like to add a little some spooky atmosphere.
I love that. I love that you're tying in Ichabod Crane because we've already got, some spooky things happening at the party. It's not so scary. It's Mickey's Not So Scary. But you've got the Headless Horseman. So why not talk about Ichabod Crane and why not be on the Liberty Bell riverboat and, tell maybe, like you're saying, a not so scary, but somewhat scary maybe. Story as you ply the waterways. That sounds great.
It would be cool too because it would tie into how the Headless Horseman leads the parade. So it would be a nice like and you've got Sleepy Hollow treats over there, so you there's usually some fun treats over there. So it brings it all together, I feel like. And speaking of that parade, actually, I feel like one thing that seems to be pretty popular, or at least I'm enjoying seeing all the videos coming out about it, is these new cavalcades. Taking like one parade float or something and putting a bunch of characters on it, having going through. I wouldn't mind if they maybe split up the Halloween parade. If crowds are still going to become a thing and, you don't want people to form, and also you don't want people to feel like, oh, I have to stake out a spot for 3 hours before the parade to make sure that I can even see it. I like the idea of these kind of continual cavalcades, like break it up and have it be the first part of just like all the characters with their costumes on, and maybe then the next like cavalcade that goes through is like the Haunted Mansion. So you have the zombie like dancers and the grave diggers and that sort of thing, and then it's all like the candy stuff. So you'd have like Goofy on his float, you could have Penelope driving her car, and like break it up into little things and then like cycle them through 2 or 3 times a night. I feel like it would relieve a lot of stress too about having to stake out areas and whatnot.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it would also lend to a little bit more spontaneity, like we were talking about earlier, because, I mean, at least at last year's party, the Halloween parade ran at 2 times, so 9:15 and 11:15. And of course, people always say, wait to the later parade for a better spot, that kind of thing. But what if you've got little ones and, 11:15 is totally out. And so 9:15 is it. And like you said, they don't want crowds happening. So I love that idea that maybe they'll break them into smaller chunks. We're already seeing Tinkerbell in her treasure chest float happening in the Magic Kingdom these days. So keep trucking Tinkerbell around and like you said, break up the other floats and characters into themed chunks, so that it's this fun moment that happens, that pops up and bubbles to the surface during the party. And if you see it, you see it. And if you do want to see it, you can kind of stake out some sidewalk there if you want to. But you kind of get to pick. It's almost like an a la carte kind of event.
That's a good way to put it.
A little from column A, a little from column B, but I love that idea about the cavalcades.
Jenny and I were actually talking before this as well, speaking of like characters and costumes, but the thing that I love so much about Mickey's Not So Scary is how it encourages you to dress up. And I think it's great because if you're somebody who has kids or doesn't have kids, if you have kids, it'd be awesome if you were a parent that dresses up with them. I know how cool that is. And maybe you don't have kids and you're like me and you're just looking for that excuse to be able to dress up. Like, it's great because you're like, okay, well, I'm going to have fun with it. And I love all this effort that goes into it. But we were talking about a pretty cool thing that we'd like to see the costumes like showcase more. And Deni, I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah. So initially I thought, man, it would be neat if there was a way to do like a costume, almost like a costume show, like talent show, but how do you give everyone a blue ribbon and a treat for the evening? But you do want to honor some of those costumes that you see the people walk by and just go, oh my goodness, look at how amazing that costume is. That is ridiculously cool. So just a way to be able to honor those who kind of want to do that. I'm fine in a t-shirt and jeans personally, but I may dress up more from time to time. And on those occasions, it'd be neat to be able to kind of go, yeah, look at what I did.
Yeah.
So you mentioned something about something that harkened back to something we saw years ago with crowdsourcing pictures.
Yeah. They used to do this thing, and we were talking about, I forget what it was called, but it was before, they would do it before Wishes, and they would do, like projections of families, or not just families, whoever, but like, on the castle. And it was basically like, supposedly these pictures had all been taken during the day. And this was like, oh, look at, they had such a fun day. Look at this, and I kind of love that. I love that idea because, it's also a nice thing because it encourages people to be sharing on social media and that sort of thing. But also, I like it because then you might see like, oh, there's that character here I didn't know was here. Or, oh, look at that person's costume. And I think that would be a fun way to even, like you said, you like a t-shirt and jeans. Like, what if we're all matching shirts? Or what if somebody's got a fun, you're not cosplaying, Disney bounding and, or stuff like that. Like, I love the idea that we could just get some like projections of that. And it doesn't even have to be on the castle. I think it could be kind of cool if there were just areas that had the projections maybe as you were going through the park. Or somewhere in like Tomorrowland or something. It might be a lot of fun, a fun way too to get people like really into the spirit, because it might draw some of those who are a little more shy or in their shell. It might be like draw them out and give them that moment that they're kind of like secretly looking or hoping for. I don't know.
Yeah, and what if some of those pictures stemmed from the character meet and greets that night? Like that'd be so much fun. I think of a couple of characters that I've gotten to meet that I just wanted to so badly, and to be able to see that picture. Because I remember years ago watching that crowdsourced show before Wishes, thinking, oh, wow, so people are waiting to see if their picture from their special day in the Magic Kingdom appears on a castle. Like, how amazing, maybe the sides of the buildings in Frontierland or somewhere, just some of the special pictures that have been taken during that evening's event. That would just be a lot of fun. And it'd be a way to kind of say, hey, kudos to those who put a ton of effort in this evening into their costumes. Yeah,
it would be really, it's fun how you said it, how you're like waiting for that. It can make it like a fun little game that they're trying to do. And they're like, okay, we're getting the picture up there today, and so I like that idea. I feel like we had another cool, because we talked about, I was saying, in a time with like social distancing rules that are in place and everything, that we want to try and we want as much candy as we can get. But, we obviously, a big thing is the cast members are kind of grabbing it and giving it to you. And all the candy is packaged and prepackaged or anything like that. So they're not really coming in contact with anything that you can't wipe down before you ingest or anything. But we're saying, like, if there was a way to remove a little bit of that extra contact, and we were saying maybe a scoop inside of the bin, but then I think we had the ultimate thing where if this happens, we want trademark on it. We talked about it being like so how at the resorts you scan your mug and you get this, soda, that it needs to be a thing where you scan like maybe your Magic Band or your ticket media or something. And then it's a candy machine that just dumps the candy out, like an ice machine. And maybe there's like a character that mans it or a cast member or something, but we want these candy dispensing machines.
Yeah, you'd have to have a cast member there to prevent a child, say a 10-year-old boy, from sticking his, whole head in the machine and mouth open as the candy falls. But that'd be so much fun. And it's something fun to think about as far as, okay, so if we're dealing with this new reality, well, how much fun could we have within those parameters?
Exactly. Yeah.
If we have to make accommodations, what do those accommodations look like? And can they still bring satisfaction to those who have bought this hard ticket event?
Yeah.
Hard ticket event party ticket. Like, okay, yeah, candy would still get in my bag. Mm-hmm. I would leave with candy at the end of the evening, and it would help reduce contacts. So I think that's good.
Yeah, and it's kind of a thing you don't really see in a lot of places anywhere, too. So it adds that extra Disney magic, that you're like, ooh, cool. Did you see the candy dispenser? Like,
trademark Ryno.
Yes. Did you have any more, Deni, that you wanted to say?
No, that's it. It was a lot of fun to just kind of think through, our wish list for this party that we already love so, so much. But, you mentioned it. Even if we love something, there's always, there are always improvements. There's always something that could make us possibly love it even more.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun to think about that.
That's a nice way to put it too, because it's not like there are some things that could be improved that, could be a complaint after a while, but this is more of that stuff where you'd be like, oh, they've come this far. Let's see them go this far, let's see them do this. And it also keeps the party fresh, and gives us that new thing. And it gives us something to look forward to in the future. So yes, it is a bummer they were canceled this year. So I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation and kind of reminisce and daydream about what it could look like next year or in the future. And then also, if you are interested, if you're feeling nostalgic like we are, or kind of like craving that Halloween spirit right now, we have plenty of videos from these party coverage from vlogs we did last year that you'll find on this YouTube channel. And then if you head over to youtube.com/WDWinfo, you're going to find the parade. You're going to find like party overviews, all this attraction ride-throughs, all this fun stuff that you can kind of watch, and from not just recent years, from like years and years past. So that's the great thing about, I feel like, doing what we do. Sometimes in the moment, you're just like exhausted and you just like, I sometimes can't enjoy it for myself. But then I'm so happy that there's a thing to look back on, that we could help others who haven't been around before to see it before, or didn't have the opportunity, or who knew we'd be like this. And now we're like, oh, thank goodness we have this little window, So,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you, Deni, for having this conversation with me.
You are so welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yes, of course. And thank you everyone out there for listening and watching. And when you are planning your next Disney vacation, we do ask that you please consider using Dreams Unlimited Travel. They are experts at helping you plan your next Disney vacation. And if you book with them, it doesn't cost you anything extra on your vacation, and you help support the show and keep content like this coming. So please remember, if you did enjoy the video, a thumbs up would be great. Subscribe to the channel. But that will do it for us. And we will return next time with another episode of the best and worst of Walt Disney World. Bye, everyone.